Assalamu alaikum everybody. In today's video I'm gonna share with you a personal story that happened to me in the US. It will be beneficial for you, especially for Muslims watching this, so that you know what things to avoid in your life. Anyways, this is a segment I'd like to kick off every week. So every week I'm gonna share a story from my life and we'll see how it goes. So let me know your feedback in the comments below. It was summer of 2013. Of course, I'm a non-Muslim at that point, so that's almost 9 years ago. I was so young. I was a student, and over the summer I went to the US, to Minnesota, for 3 months to work as a waiter at a restaurant. This is what I used to do back at university. I always, each summer, went to the US to make money and come back. It was kind of like a work and travel program sponsored by the government. We would get a visa and students could go there kind of from poor Eastern European countries and make money, learn English, travel and all that. So basically that was my second summer. I already knew the States. I chose Minnesota. And since I had pretty good English, I was a waiter at a restaurant. And I was with my girlfriend at the time. She was a Slovak, and we were in a relationship a few months. We've decided to do this together, and we went to the US. In the US, we lived in the house, and in the house there was maybe 12 people. So we lived, boys, like 4 guys in one room, 4 guys in the other room, and then the girls in another room. And the whole house was a bunch of young people having fun, working through in the day, drinking in the night, just your typical kind of jahiliyyah, right? We had a neighbor, and I'm gonna keep the names of these people secret because they still alive. So basically we had a neighbor. One night we were kind of like, I don't know what we were doing, me and my friend, we were just kind of hanging out at the terrace, and we saw the neighbor on the porch, and I think they were smoking weed. And so it was like a couple of weeks into the living in that house, so we already knew each other from just looking at each other. And so they invited us over. And so what happened, me and this guy, we decided, okay, we're going over there. It looks like a fun house or whatever. And so we went over there, and basically it was one guy, let's call him Andrew, and the other guy, let's call him maybe Mike. And so they were both in their 30s, and there was another girl, let's call her, I don't know, Susan, whatever. So they all lived in this house, but they also had children. There were 2 kids, maybe like a 6-7-year-old boy, and then another smaller child, like a 3-year-old, and also a big dog. I remember a big dog, yeah. And so we were there, and the whole night we stayed outside on the porch. And we drank some beer and then smoked some weed and all that. So it was a lot of fun. It was until like the sunrise, 7 hours. Then we came back, and this was my first interaction with them. And so this happened quite often. Like since then we became friendly, and we started hanging out with these guys. And so after some time we've noticed a few things. One thing was that this guy Mike, who lived there, he actually was in a relationship with this girl Susan. They weren't married, but they were kind of dating. And these kids, I think they were his. They weren't. I'm not sure if they were their kids. I'm not sure about that. But what happened is we realized that this guy is a dealer. He is dealing drugs in Minnesota. He is not like a random guy. He is actually having a lot of, at that time, marijuana was illegal. So that's 9 years ago. So at that time, he had a lot of stash hidden in the house. He had a dog. And he also had a lot of guns. He had guns around the house. And so I've never seen kind of a gun, right? So he showed us a gun and stuff. And we were like, wow, that's crazy. And then slowly, after hanging out more, we've realized this guy is actually not just dealing marijuana. He's also dealing heroin and other stuff. And he explained how much money he's making. So he's making a couple of thousands of dollars a day off of these things. And so, okay, so that's weird. We're living next to this drug dealer, but we're friendly with them. And they are kind of like a weird family dynamic, living, 2 guys and this 1 woman and the kids. Imagine, like, it's the total opposite of a Muslim family, right? But that's what's going on. One day we go on a boat and the guy takes one of the guys took me and some other people and also the small children, and we went on the lake and had a lot of fun. So we had these experiences. We've done a lot of things together, and even I remember one time I needed a haircut, so I stopped by their house, and the woman, Susan, she was a hairdresser, so she gave me a free haircut in their kitchen, just like she cut my hair, and that was it. So it's like really cool stories. We would spend nights together on the porch. After some time, I learned this other guy, this Mike, who is the dealer, who is the main kind of, well, they are both kind of like dealing it, but this Mike guy, he's been to prison for 2 years for stabbing, and he told me that one time, like, I've been to prison for I stabbed the guy, and I'm like, okay, cool, but that kind of was like a red flag. I was like, well, that's weird. Fast forward, I'm working at a restaurant. It's almost end of the summer, and sometimes they would stop by the bar, and I would be the bartender, so I would just pour them liquor as well, like haram. And so what happened is this one night, this insane night, actually one more thing is, like, we had a car. These guys gave us a car. They gave us a car for a couple of $100. We drove it all summer, and we used to drive it also to the town when they were drunk. So I would drive the car so that we would avoid the police, or didn't drive drunk, because I would be the driver, and we would have like 6 people in a car and stuff, and then come back. And so what happened is, this one night I'm working at the restaurant, I'm downstairs at the bar, just some people, and then this guy comes in, and the woman, Susan, and this Mike guy. And so I see them, hey guys, what's up? And they're like, pour us some shots and everything. Okay, so I'm just like, I'm taking a shot with, I'm taking a shot, they are taking shots, and I'm just like, cool. All right, see you in the house or something. And so then I come home from the work. I think I took a shower. I went to the toilet. And then I come out of the house. And I see like a weird scene. There's like a screaming happening. And what happened is that the car that the Mike owned was driving on the road. Like, there's the house, this is the road. Susan, this woman, standing on the road, and this guy is driving like this, and he's just smashed through her. Like, he completely basically took her out. Then what happened? He basically stopped the car, and I think he ran her one more time. I'm not sure about this. I think he ran her one more time, and then he parked slowly in the garage. He parked very slowly in the garage of his house. Like, he didn't check if she's healthy or if she's doing okay. He just went to the garage. And that was so weird to see and to experience, because I've never seen such a thing. I myself have been in a car accident, like pretty major one, when I was a child, but this was like different. We didn't know what to do. We didn't really know what to do. I remember my girlfriend, she was kind of friendly with her. She ran to her. She was like lying almost dead on the road, like smashed, blood everywhere. And she's giving her CPR or whatever. She's trying to, resuscitate her, or what's the word. And I'm just like weirded out. I'm just like, I'm not sure what's happening. The whole house is outside. Like, there's 15 people. We all saw that this happened. And then basically we call the police, right? We call the ambulance. Like, the ambulance has to come because she's gonna die. And so the ambulance comes. They take her to the hospital, and the police comes. And the police, they come in force, like the US style. There's like 12 cars, like sirens everywhere. And they don't know what's happening. The police doesn't know what happened. So they talk to people, And the problem is that within the car that ran over this Susan was my friend. His name is, let's call him, he's a Slovak, so I'm gonna make up a name, Michael. Let's call him Michael and Mike. So Mike is the American guy driving, runs over her. And this Michael guy, he's next to him in the car. But the problem with the Michael Slovak guy, he doesn't speak English. He's just kind of like this funny guy who gets drunk, but he doesn't speak a word of English, like maybe just a few words. So the police comes. They don't know what's happening, right? They don't know what's happening. They came over and they asked us what happened. And so we had a choice. We either could snitch on our new friend, or we could just tell them a lie. But we're on visa in the US. If they take us in jail, I can't leave or whatever. And so we decided to tell the truth, but kind of like, okay, we're gonna say that we saw a car hit her and then park it, and that's it. We haven't seen the driver or whatever. At this moment, when we're doing this, right next door, this other guy, Andrew, who lives with this guy, Mike, he's just flushing all the drugs in the toilet. Like, we could hear the flushing. He's just kind of getting rid of all the stash they have. But the weird thing was this Mike guy, who we thought is our friend, he starts saying, the police comes to him and he says, no, it's the guy in the car, he did it. So our Slovak friend, he did it. He was driving. And we know he wasn't driving. And he actually lost a necklace in the car, I remember. That's crazy. But basically, he wasn't driving. And we said, like, well, this guy is clearly like trying to set us up. So let's tell the truth. And we have more witnesses. So we said, okay, here's what happened. This guy, he's our neighbor. We had a discussion amongst us because there were police officers outside. So we kind of sat down all the guys who lived in the house before we talked to them. And we said, like, look, we need to tell on this guy because basically we're students here. We're not American. We can't have this guy, Michael, who's our friend, go to prison or whatever. This is bullcrap. Like, let's just tell the truth because, like, why would we protect this guy? He's crazy. Obviously, even though he's our friend, he's insane. And so we told them, like, hey, this guy lives next to us. We didn't say anything about the drugs, but we just said, like, hey, he ran over her, and yeah, you can just go and check the car. And so they went, they saw the car. The car was like bumpy. It had all the signs of ran over. And so what happened is they took this guy, Mike, and he was like fighting with them. No. And they took him, smashed him, and they took him and then drove away with him. And that was kind of insane. And so then the police comes to our house. They want to talk to Michael, the Slovak guy who was in the car. He doesn't speak English, so obviously I come in as an interpreter and I say all the things he's saying, but I'm kind of like asking him, do you really want to say this? So he asks the question, I translate it, the guy answers, I translate it to the police guy. But I was also speaking Slovak with him and saying, like, and I was also saying, like, don't say you were drunk. Anyways, they don't do anything to this guy. The next day comes and we check in with the hospital and we find out that the girl lives. The girl lives. She has a broken leg or something and her fractured something. But she lives. She's okay. She's not great, but she lives. But the girl protects the guy and says, no, it wasn't him. Because he's on a probation. He's been to prison already. He's on a probation. And so she lies to the police and says, no, it wasn't him. So there's conflicting stories now. There's conflicting stories. And we're like, what a crazy woman. Why would she lie for a guy who wanted to kill her? But the craziest part is the woman was standing on the road, like in the middle, and she was screaming something at him. The guy, he wasn't like, before, a few seconds before we saw him, he was doing like circles around different houses. He was going through gardens, completely wiped out. He was just driving around like in Grand Theft Auto or something. And then he sees her, she's screaming. and he runs over her like purposefully. We could see it, purposeful, like ran over, and then again, and then he parks it. Like he didn't check, he didn't care. He wanted to kill her. He wanted to kill her in that moment. I never saw someone with the intent of murdering someone doing it. So that was crazy, especially because this guy was my buddy. I was the best friend with this guy over the summer. He was slightly older, but it was crazy. But we forget this guy's rich. So he basically gets a bunch of lawyers and pays this thing they have in the US. So if you pay a lot of money, like 50K or 100K, you get out of prison, and he gets out. In the meantime, we get the information that what happened that night was these guys went to my bar. They got drunk, not just from my drinks, they were drunk before, but they were shooting heroin. They both were shooting heroin. Then they went to our friend, he drove with them, she was left home, and they were just driving around doing crazy stuff. He was a bit drunk, but he wasn't doing any hard drugs. But the guy was on heroin. You know, do you know heroin? Like, this is the most deadliest drug. This is the most the hardest drug you can ever imagine. This guy was a heroin addict. Within 3 days, Mike gets released from the prison. He takes out a gun in the middle of the night and comes to our house, asking where this Michael guy is, who snitched on him, right? And he has a gun in his hand. I'm sleeping on a couch with my girlfriend, and he's like next to me with the gun. Crazy stuff. Anyways, we tell him he's in Chicago. He went there for a weekend, and he's coming back next week. In that time, basically the police gives him this lock on his leg. He can't leave the house. He's being monitored. He can't drink. He can only smoke. So he's pretty much stuck. And we survived the next month very weirdly. I have never saw him alone since then, only a few times. Towards the end of the summer, our relationship kind of got better, and actually they went for dinner, I remember. But it was never the same because of what happened. And the crazy thing is, they took his kids away. So imagine this is your father. Imagine this is your mother. Imagine the story is basically quite sad, even though it's a lot of like ups and downs. But the point of me sharing it were a couple of things, right? First thing, just look at the dynamics within this family. Two dudes dealing drugs, living with a woman. She's in a relationship with a guy from a prison. Imagine that's your mother. Imagine that's your father doing that kind of stuff. Being drunk all the time being high, selling drugs. So imagine how much haram he's doing. Just look at the business haram, relationship haram, money haram, alcohol haram, food haram. Everything in his entire life is haram. I had no idea when I was pouring those drinks that I'm actually contributing to this like mayhem, because all of it was because of alcohol and heroin he took. If he didn't took these drugs, he would never almost kill this Susan, and he would just be normal probably. But because of alcohol and because of heroin, he almost killed her. He almost killed someone, and I was part of that because I gave him the means. I gave him the drug, the alcohol. But still, like, look at the Qadr of Allah, how all of it's connected and how it came back. But you have no idea how many broken homes, broken families exist because of alcohol, because of these drugs. And maybe now it's in the culture and everybody's doing it, but trust me, this is one of many, many stories I have. And this is one of the most tragic ones, because I've lost a friend, even though I consider him a friend, lost it, but I felt bad. I felt sick to my stomach that this person who I thought is my friend is this guy. But maybe it's not even his fault. It's the fault of the drugs. Maybe he's a better person now. Maybe he's clean. I don't know. I haven't met him. But it's just crazy, you know, to think how these things, you know, work the mind. And so yeah, if you know, I have many other stories I can tell where when alcohol was involved or when drugs were involved, it directly led to a crime or to an unfortunate situation where someone lost a life or someone was seriously hurt. And if there wasn't the intoxicant, this wouldn't happen. As Allah says in the Quran, there is some good in it because there's fun, and yeah, there's this social, you feel, you know, socially not awkward, you feel like you can talk to everybody. But then comes the low point, and the low point overpowers the high point by a mile. I would say it's like 10 to 90%. So 10% fun, 90% hangover, plus doing wild, crazy stuff. So just some lessons here. I just wanted to stress that some of the rulings in Islam, I will 100% be behind them, because I've seen the opposite. I know where people get freedom and they can choose. They choose pleasure, and they choose dysfunction, and they choose chaos. They choose to unplug from reality, and then they do crazy stuff, and they oftentimes commit crime or evil. And those things are not fun to be around, because I'm the product of that. I'm the product of a marriage which didn't work out, which was based on these things, and I lived in that, and I took that part with me into my sort of adulthood, when I destroyed many lives. I've destroyed many women or many lives that I could have helped because of, I don't know what, because of I was raised badly, right? But basically, if I was a Muslim, imagine this is your father. Imagine this is your mother, and your father wanted to kill your mother, and your mother is a prostitute or something. Your father is a drug dealer. The child, think about him 9 years ago, he's now 15, 16. How broken is he? I'm never coming back to atheism. I'm never coming back to enjoying my life, because I know where that leads. I already know. I've been there. I've been to the darkest, deepest things you can imagine. So why would I go back? I've been there. I know how that world looks. I'm happy in the light of Allah. I'm happy. I'm with my Lord. This is the best thing ever. Like, to have a relationship with your Creator. Like, if you don't have that, then your life you're missing the point of life. Throughout the years, I lived in this atheistic stage, and it's a waste of time. It's a literally waste of time. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You don't know how to live your life. You don't have any goals or kind of a purpose behind your existence. Islam, alhamdulillah for Islam, alhamdulillah for Allah. Everything is perfect, so imagine living without this is impossible. And so be thankful for Tawheed, be thankful for Allah, for the truth, for Islam, for all the rules in the Sharia, for everything, because everything has its place, everything has its meaning, because it's coming from the all-knowing being who knows all this, and this being knows our human deficiencies and what we want and don't want, and we want something that's bad for us, and we don't want something that's good for us. And this is true. So most of the things that helped me in my life, I didn't want them. I still do daily things I don't want to do. For example, I don't want to go out and work out, but I do it for 60 minutes. I go and jog because I know it's going to improve my life. I don't want to work. I don't want to deal with clients and stress and all that and invoices, but I do it because I'm taking care of the family. I don't want to, I don't know, maybe I'm tired making this YouTube video, but I do it because I want to do it with the intention of helping someone. And all these things I'm doing in my day-to-day, because most of the things I'm doing I don't want to do. Let's face it. I think you're the same, but you do it because that's being a man. You go through the responsibility, you do the things you feel uncomfortable of doing, and then you go and yeah, that's the way you move forward in this life. You build a habit of enjoying those hard things. Once you enjoy working out, reading, learning, whatever, making money, be hard relationships like screaming at clients, arguing, being in high stress situations, once you enjoy these things, then life becomes kind of easy because you have Allah and you are moving within the lines of Sharia, and you've programmed yourself that everything that's pleasurable you're pushing away. So for example, I ate a cake Today I wouldn't eat it if my wife didn't cook it, but I ate it and I felt bad. Like I knew like I'm decreasing my value now. But okay, it happened. But anyways, anything that's pleasurable, I just push it. I don't want any pleasure in my life because I know it's not creating the man I want to be. The man I want to be is gonna be made of hard things. I still haven't made him, so hopefully this video is gonna help you understand that the only way you become a man, or the only way you kind of become high value, whatever, is to follow the Quran and Sunnah. And that's all you need to do, to be honest, man. Then of course the self-improvement, it's all in Sharia already, it's all in the hadiths. So assalamu alaikum everybody, and see you in the next video. Let me know what you thought about the story.